Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Sound Check. We have a great show here for you today. The Rip Taylors are here. They're going to do a couple songs for you, and then we're going to come back for an interview, so sit right there.
Hey, we're the Rip Taylors, and I got a bad attitude, baby. What you say, baby? I don't care what you say, I don't care what you say. Gotta do it anyway, I gotta do it anyway. I don't care what you say, I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't care what you do, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't care what you do, I don't care what you do. I don't give a fuck, yeah, I don't give a fuck about you.
Hey, welcome back everybody. We are here with the Rip Taylors. This is Mikey, Ben, Ryan. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
Good. Yeah,
Good.
Good enough.
Good. Tell me a little bit about your music. Where does your music come from? What's the impetus behind it?
Wow.
It's mostly Mikey's impotence.
Oh,
behind
okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. I started this band. I guess I could give a little backstory. I started this band, wrote songs, and without any real intention of starting a band, and just songs that I wanted to write. I moved to Nashville like 4 years ago, and a lot of the music I was seeing was great, wonderful, amazing singers, amazing guitarists, but it was just boring to me. So, but that was like really like surface level Nashville. But now that I've lived in this town a few years, gotten to see some great bands. There's great local bands. There's great bands around. So I don't want to like diss Nashville as a scene or anything. But just my first introduction to Nashville was like just really talented people, but that they bored the hell out of me.
So it was more about, and I think I agree with you because we've mentioned this a couple times on this show actually, but it was more about the performance necessarily than the material, or was it?
Yeah. Oh, yes and no. It's both. Definitely both. The material was just like a validation of anger, like and a validation of that. Hey, I'm not a great singer. Hey, I'm not a great guitarist, but I can just lift myself up by writing dumb songs that are simple and to the point, and hopefully people can relate to that validation a little bit.
Well, that's like the punk ethos, right? It's like it's simple, but it's clear, it's effective, it's...
Yeah, some of it. Others ones, there's punk acts out there that are giving a great message, things that definitely need to be said.
Who's doing that right now?
I love War on Women. Big fan of them. I don't know if any of you have any...
I've heard of them, but yeah. Downtown Boys are a band that are doing great stuff like that.
So how long have you been doing this with this band?
Like a month or two?
A month, all right, good.
Yeah, yeah. And then like, you know, when I want to address like where this came from is so I had these songs and I had these ideas about starting a band, and I moved to Nashville and really didn't fit in with a lot of the music, a lot of the scene, and my wife, a lot of my friends were really pushing me to be like, hey, start a band. It wasn't about like, oh, this music's so wonderful, you need to get out there. It was about me, it really. And I know like we're a bunch of dudes in our 30s, and that could be very isolating. We're dudes in their 30s, like get caught up with family, get caught up with work, and then that's their whole fucking life. And really, I just started this band just to have fun and have friends and do stupid things and have a good time and connect with people and not, you know, just take a break from all the bullshit that, you know, we can get caught up in. So.
Is it working?
Yeah, so far so good. And that's what I'm saying. It's only been a few months.
Yeah, no, I totally know what you're saying about that too. And it's like, if you want to be active in the scene in Nashville, it's like, I would almost say it's almost the same as somebody who chooses to start a family or to do something else. It's like, that's what you're choosing to invest in. And you see people come and go, but it's like, I mean, I go to shows all the time, and it is a little weird when the average age keeps going lower and lower, or it seems like it's getting lower and lower and lower, but really you're just kind of, you know, getting older and having to deal with that.
Yeah, I'm like definitely old enough to be the dad of half the bands I see and most of the crowd of the shows I go to, especially when I go to house shows. It's like, I was probably not be here. I don't know.
I was at a show at the Local a couple of weeks ago, which used to be the Country, which used to be something else, I don't know. And there was a band called Lemon Drop Motel, and they got up on stage, and they were 18 or 17, and they were freshmen at Belmont. They said all this before they went on, and they're like, this is our first gig, right? And I was like, I know what this is going to be. It's going to sound like a band that's playing there. And they came out and just killed it. And it was amazing. It was this really polished, like power pop stuff, and they were doing it right. And I was like, man, it's really cool to see, and it's a little disheartening too, because it's like, man, I missed that boat completely. Like, I was not doing that when I was 17. Like, there's no way. So.
Yeah. But also, like, when I see, like, kids playing music and I, like, don't like it and I think it's terrible, I'm like, good for you. Like, that's what you should be doing. We're getting older. You're supposed to be playing music that pisses us off, that feels like you're fucking weird.
Work,
yeah, good.
Yeah,
Go
we're not
piss us
supposed
off.
to get it anymore.
No.
We're 20 years past that. Like,
Yeah.
Hell, I can't even tell people about the band Butthole without them getting weirded out by it. And that's everybody. That's like universal. And I'm like, it's not that weird of a thing, but apparently it is to just call your band that, I guess. I don't know.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah, good name. Shout out Butthole. Yeah.
So, Mikey, I want to talk a little bit about kind of your philosophy, and that's just because I know a little bit about your philosophy, and you can probably explain it better than I can. But can you tell me a little bit about it, and also about how that informs your music, or how that colors your approach to music, if it does at all?
Yeah, it almost like like informs the music by not informing it.
Okay.
You know, just going out there and not overthinking. So to have a philosophy of not going too much into it and just simplifying it. Even when I write songs for this band, I will write a hook, and then I'll try to write another part. And it's like, no, just stay with the hook. Whatever. Quit trying to doll this song up. Quit trying to do this and that. Just stick to, you know, my 30 plus years of conditioning listening to Ramones songs, you know?
So have you done that though? And what's your inclination if you want to put all that stuff in? What does it come out sounding like when you overthink it and you do all of that stuff? Because I can give you an example from my life.
Oh, please, just go ahead. Just go ahead.
Well, no, I just mean that I did a record one time where I was so in control mode of like, I need to get out exactly what's in my head, right? And when you get there, you start thinking of, well, I tried this and that's not enough, so I need to do this and this and this and this and this, and then you've got 25 guitar tracks, and then you've got two. At one point, we had two drummers playing two different drum tracks simultaneously. So it's like I loved the process of doing that, but when we got out the other side, it was like, whoa, this is a lot. This is too much. Like I don't know if this works.
Yeah.
But so that's the key then is to scale back from that.
Well, I think there's a place for that, for going over the top. It's just nothing that I'm into, But yeah, it's there's something about just giving the basics that is so relatable, that is so identifiable, that it's just straight to the point, rock and roll music, and it's been good for all these years. Let's just pick out the parts that are good and just go with that. And because I can it's like almost like egotistical that I'm going to write the best fucking song in the world, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be this amazing masterpiece, and then it turns into a big pile of shit. Yeah. So like, just scale back, trust rock and roll, trust punk rock, trust those chords, those 3 chords we've been playing over and over. Hey, fucking rock and roll, man.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that, and it is an ego thing, but that also means that it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of extra work that you do when you do that. So it's good to get away from that.
Yeah, it was like work to do less, though, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I want to hear a little bit from Ben and Ryan.
Cool.
The rhythm section, is that still appropriate when there's only 3 people to have a rhythm section?
I guess so. I think so. Yeah.
Do you consider yourselves a power trio? Would you ever use that term?
I don't know that we would actively, but I'm sure if we played somewhere, that would be in the description. It's kind of the standard go-to. It's like, oh, 3 dudes, power trio, cool.
How did you guys meet up and connect?
The internet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff on there these days.
Yeah, it's a creepy place.
Yeah.
It brought us all together.
Shocking.
So
Shocking.
it's very shocking. It was like there was these 2 dudes, and then I came along and, just kind of came in the back and just, kind of shocked them a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Just right up in there, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good website people use. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called Facebook.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a
I'll have to check
search
that out.
bar,
Yeah.
and you can type in like anything, people's names. You can type in Nashville punk, and it'll bring up a page. And I posted up something. Who plays what? What's your age? What's your experience? What do you want to do? Everybody that wants to be in a band, post here. And both of these guys posted, I think, and I made the connection because it was something I wanted to do, was play this style of music.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in other bands that did it, so I kind of was like, all right, let's get together and do this. I've got a drummer. That guy didn't work out, and I was like, well, let's try this other guy that posted, and he did work out.
Yeah, I just told them I'm good at Ramones beat, and they were like, okay, cool, let's try this out. Like, yeah, that's what we do. We do Ramones stuff. So I was like, all right, this works out. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That makes it easy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like social networking or something like that.
Yeah,
it was
something
great. It was a
about
nice
that.
network of a social community.
There might be something to this whole internet thing.
Well, I thought
Yeah.
the when you said you played in a Ramones tribute band, and I
Yeah.
played in a Ramones tribute band. Have
Oh,
you ever
yeah.
played in a Ramones tribute band?
Not technically, but I mean, there's-
You got to get this going. So.
Yeah.
I was in a Descendants tribute band called the Descendants.
Yeah.
I was in a Clash tribute band called the Guns of Brentwood.
Wow.
I was really proud of that
the
one.
Guns
Oh,
of Brentwood.
I like
That's
that.
awesome.
I was really proud of that one. Yeah. So what do you guys think about the role of punk music in the world today as opposed to what it has been in the past? Like it has had a very long history of mostly political influence, but cultural influence and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And from where we are today, could you even use the term, like, I mean, I feel like the term classic punk is it feels a little weird to me because it was never intended to be that. It was
Right.
always intended to be temporary, which I think
Yeah.
is part of the attraction to it. But where are we at now, and where are we going, and can it still do the same things that it's done? Because, from speaking from a place of, if you write songs that are about, hey, don't call me stupid, you know, and we talked a little bit about that being about the internet, and it's like, can that song have the kind of effect, or what effect do you want it to have? I guess first of all is the question, and then can it actually do that?
Okay. Well, yes.
I asked like 40
great
questions.
question.
Great.
Amazing. Okay. With
Break it down.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can break it down, but that there's like an internal and external look at things, like even like punk rock and emo. That like punk rock's a very pushing out external, like pushing against oppression with anger, and then there's this internal sense of acknowledging anger, that these fucking songs are angry and I need to notice my anger so I can use it as a tool to fight whatever you need to fight. And right now, there's a lot to fucking fight, you know, and I feel like it's a wonderful tool, and it's also it's subcultured communities that people get together. So whenever people can get together, that's power. That's fucking primal human survival right there. We get in packs and we fucking do what needs to get done. And so there's power in that punk rock. That punk rock has always been about that DIY community. And so when you have a force of people that are all involved in a certain way, and when you put it out to that culture that doesn't know shit about punk rock, it could be scary and powerful. We're not necessarily we're not a political band. We don't go into specifics. But I have got a lot of respect for bands that do, that say what needs to be said, definitely. And it's not even just bands. We're talking about punk culture, whoever's writing a zine, whoever's making a movie, whoever is putting together the show. There's a lot of power in all of it. So, so that's what we're doing. We're just talking about that internal, like, hey, cool, it's fine to be angry. It's fine to be like, I'm not stupid because somebody said it on the internet. Yeah, it's cool. It's not going to be this big philosophical understanding. It's just a fucking song. But are we going to get together and dance to that song? That's what we're going to meet up as a group. So I don't know. That's a huge question. A lot of pressure on that.
That was perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Nailed it.
So then, as a follow-up, if one of the things that that punk does is it shocks people, or it surprises people in some way, is it more difficult to do that now? Number one, since you have this multi-decades of punk behind you that have done similar things, and so maybe it is not as shocking now as it would have been. And also now, when you have things like Black Mirror or like other cultural things that are out there that are as shocking or more shocking, how do you compete with that, or do you compete with that?
I think you don't. You gotta
I
check
don't
your
think you
people.
have to. I mean, if you look at what's happened in the last few months, I mean, the anti-fascist movement has been fueled by the punk community, a large part of the punk community. And not just recently. I mean, back into the 90s and 80s and 70s, starting, with like Stiff Little Fingers, going through into Crass, and even contemporary bands like Against Me, or as we mentioned, Propaganda earlier, are both bands that have had anarchist leanings.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting, too, being punk as kind of the only kind of music that I can think of that has a very significant anti-racist, anti-fascist presence, and also a presence of people who are for those things to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an acknowledgement we need to make here that we're a bunch of white dudes, playing punk rock, and I think that's like what is great, because we need to check our own, check and see where we're at, check and some of that, you talk about that old punk rock going back, checking some of the older bands. I know the Dickies got pissed off at War on Women because they spoke up about sexism in their set. Okay, that's great. That's that dialogue that happens in punk rock. People get pissed off. Great. Now you're getting pissed off. Great. But I've definitely had, in prior bands, have had groups of neo-Nazis come to my show, and I'm in a dilemma on stage.
Yeah, you got to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, in one specific situation, I waited till after the show and confronted them. And, neo-Nazis have this wonderful strategy that they play the victim really
Yeah.
well. Oh, man, I'm just here to have a good time. Why you got a problem with my White Pride Worldwide shirt? Man, just leave me alone. And then later on in the night, it broke out into a fight. And, they got arrested. So they ended up in jail. So, yeah, no.
Have you all had any experiences with that? Directly?
Just once when I was in Greece. Really going over to Europe is where like you really start seeing like crazy clashes between like anti-fascists and like Nazi stuff. Like we were in Athens one time, like we were at this little, it was like a little squat, and it was all run by like anti-fascist stuff and anarchists, and they were like, and we were getting hungry, so we're like, we're gonna go around the block, and they were like really weird about it. They're like, well, go this way, go that way, Nazis will find you. And they've been like bombing each other's like show spaces back and forth and like attacking people, and it's just like there's like an all-out war over there, which is nuts. We never run into that before in my old band, and so it's like really kind of scary, and they were just like, make sure like when you leave this way, go get your food, come back a different way, and just look out in alleyways and behind cars because they're always trying to find us. And yeah, it was really weird.
From my perspective, this is just stuff that I read about, and I think, oh, this is what it must have been like. But it's totally different when you're there facing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. It's like, oh, I don't fight. I don't know what to do. Like,
Any other thoughts on that?
Fuck Nazis. If you're watching
Well,
this,
yeah.
fuck you if you're a Nazi. I don't know.
That's pretty solid.
What are you
That's a
saying?
pretty
I don't
solid
know.
strategy. Yeah.
Reconsider your life. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just always constant. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm surprised that philosophy has such a lifespan or such a longevity to it.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's like, with as easy as it is to disprove like all of the core tenets, it's something about the resilience and stupidity of humanity that they still manage to hang on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, like people are just hurt and they act out in very irrational ways and very hurtful ways. And, I'm fed up with a lot of what we have going on in the world, a lot of pressure from, like I even started with jobs and families and stuff like that. And some people just act out in really fucking foolish ways because they fear that pressure. That's a general statement, but I'm sure there's some sort of serious pain going on in these Nazis, these people, the fascists, racists, any of them, but doesn't mean we shouldn't set up boundaries with them and put them in their fucking place.
No, absolutely. And I think also when we address the problems of this, we address the causes, and it's like we're all products of the same system in some sense. And the people who come out as angry, as vicious as Nazis, they have gone through something that has caused them to believe that. And so we should look at what's going on. How are we not taking care of people well enough that they are falling into these ideologies? Or, is there anything that we can do about that? I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's like
Yeah.
because I can't relate with them, so I don't know.
It's really,
I don't know what pushed them that way.
Well,
like,
I feel like there should be clear consequences for people that act out in harmful ways, and there should be some sort of place to see that underlying underbelly of what's going on. And I don't know if I'm the one to do it. It's really, it's a tough predicament. Like you're asking into that. I don't know if there's an answer. Definitely.
right.
We need to refocus their energy from hating humans to hating robots. No more Nazi fascism. We need crypto fascism.
That's
Yeah,
an
they've
interesting
got the-
concept.
Hate the robots, man.
Yeah, they got
Have
those
you seen
robots that
those
can open
dogs?
doors
Yes,
now.
that dog
Oh.
that can open the doors and lets the
Yeah.
other dog in, and then it follows him in.
yeah, that's
That's
Boston,
dangerous.
Boston something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Boston
nuts.
Robotics. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah. Terminator.
I like the way this conversation went. We just played like a bunch of songs about like I'm not stupid
We're
and
proving that we're not
I got a
stupid.
bad attitude. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta sing about it, be about it.
Right.
Talk about
stand for
dismantling
stuff.
fascism.
Yeah, we went through Nazism. Now we're talking about robots, which are very bad and
okay.
dangerous.
Are they?
I think they are. I think they're more dangerous than we acknowledge. The threat of artificial intelligence is real. I mean,
would love to not work.
It's not going to be a Terminator thing, I don't think. But there's a real economic theory that much of the work that we do is going to be eliminated, and we're going to have to figure out what to do with ourselves.
Yeah.
Not rely on capitalism, maybe. Listen to the punk
I mean, I'm
rockers
with
from
you
the
on
get-go.
that. I'm with you on
go
that,
back
but-
to the whole punk rock thing, and
Yeah. Well, we'll have to figure that out at some point. But I appreciate you all being here very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah, it was
chatting.
Thanks.
Please
Thanks,
check out the Rip Taylors. They're on Bandcamp. They're on Facebook. They're live near you at some point. So thanks very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's great.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hey, we're the Rip Taylors, and I'm not scared, baby. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. Yeah, I'm not scared to move on with my life. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. Yeah, I'm not scared to move on with my life. Think it's funny how you come home screaming. Think it's funny how you waste my time going on and on with the same old lies. Think you're stupid and I think you're crazy. Say you're stubborn and I know I'm lazy. Do you gotta do this while the Walking Dead is on? Think it's time to clear my one-track mind. I'm not scared. I'm not scared yet. I'm not scared to move on with my life. I'm not scared. I'm not scared yet. I'm not scared to move on with my life. You remember what you look like, happy. Yeah, your job and her lies are crappy enough to hold on to the same old lies. Say you're stupid and I think you're crazy. Say you're stubborn and I know I'm lazy. Do we gotta do this while Caddyshack is on? Think it's time to clear my one-track mind. I'm not scared. I'm not scared yet. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm not scared yet. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm not scared yet. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm not scared yet. Hey, we're the Rip Taylors, and I'm not stupid. So stop calling me stupid, baby. I'm not stupid. Stop calling me stupid. I'm not stupid. Stop calling me stupid. I got a job and I can pay you rent while you sit your ass on the internet. I'm not stupid. Stop calling me stupid. I'm not stupid. Stop calling me stupid. Got the answers with the GED when you think you're better than everybody. Go on and on about conspiracy. Ain't got a clue what the fuck you're doing, girl. I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. Think you're better than me. I'm not stupid. Stop calling me stupid.
Yes! Great job. That was great. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm not the Rip Taylors. This is the Rip Taylors. That's another episode of Sound Check. Keep jamming. Keep listening outside the lines. We'll see you next time.